Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Sparc Growth, where we talk everything personal development and growth mindset. So today we are talking about how to cultivate mindful relationships. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we're gonna get right into this video. You know how sometimes certain relationships just end out of nowhere, and this video is not talking about just romantic relationships. I'm talking about any relationship in general. That could be friendships, work relationships, family relationships, whatever it may be. There's certain relationships that just end haphazardly, and someone just ghosts you or stops talking to you, and you keep wondering why. Like, what did I do? How did it happen? And you never get an answer for it. I think that is why it is so important that we practice being mindful in all the relationships that we have and that we keep with people. Because if you are not mindful to how you speak to people and how you are with people, people may take a turn and end up leaving, you know? So it is always important to be mindful. And yes, we also need to realize that sometimes not everyone is meant to stay in your life, and that's okay. But certain times we end up losing really good and great relationships just because we are not being mindful, we are not being receptive to the relationships that we have. We are not present, we are not focused, we are not kind, if I can put it that way, in our relationships. So today we're going to talk about how to be mindful and how to cultivate a mindful relationship with each and every person in your life. So obviously, each and every relationship comes with a lot of do's and don'ts. How do you communicate with each other? Do you have trust? Do you have respect? Are you open? Do you do things together? Do you spend time with each other? Do you have quality time? Are you loyal to each other? Those are all the normal and common things that we have in relationships. But then there's a second layer to a relationship, is how you actually do all of the things that I just discussed. How do you actually execute those things? How do you actually communicate with the people that you love or that you are in relationships with? How do you actually show trust? How do you show commitment? How do you show loyalty? We are talking about the how today. How do you actually do those things, and why do you do them? First thing is being open with each other. So yes, we communicate with the people in our lives, but are we open with people? Do we express ourselves truthfully and wholeheartedly? Being open means that you need to be vulnerable. You need to tell the truth, as much as it may hurt someone else. But you need to tell the truth, the whole truth, not just high level because you are thinking of the other person's feelings. Being open means saying something and telling it as it is, but also being kind and being courteous to how the other person would receive it. Say it with kindness, as much as you are saying that I didn't like that you did 1, 2, 3, or I'm going through a situation right now that is whatever it may be. That is you being vulnerable, but you expressing your feelings and saying that this is how it made me feel when you did 1, 2, 3, 4, but doing so in a kind and courteous manner, so that that person would be receptive to whatever you are saying and be understanding. And also, one thing about being open and honest with people is that you need to realize the type of people that you have in your life, and you need to make that judgment. How is this person going to take this when I tell them, and figure out the most tactful way to say what you feel and mean what you say without hurting the other person's feeling, but also validating yourself and validating your feelings, so that you guys could have a healthy, open communication stream that does not leave anyone out. So as much as you are open and honest with someone else, you also need to be receptive to receiving that same type of communication with the next person. So don't be a person that can give it but you can't take it. And emotional maturity is such a big thing, and it is such a thing that affects a lot of relationships out there, that sometimes it's very hard to communicate with certain people. Hence, it is very important for you to be tactful in the way that you are going to deliver whatever you are trying to say to the next person, so that they understand it. So you need to say things to people in ways in which that they understand, not the way that you want to say it, but in a way that they understand, but you're still saying what you want to say. I hope you get me. The next thing is that you need to ask and not assume. Many a times relationships end because people assume that you said 1, 2, 3, 4, or you meant, or you hurt them, or you did something without asking you what the reason or why you did a certain thing the way you did it. So you need to always make sure that if you do not understand someone's behavior, or you do not understand why someone did something the way that they did it, always ask instead of making assumptions, because our brain can play, and many of us are overthinkers, and we start putting things into our heads that don't really exist. So when you have healthy relationships and you're cultivating these mindful relationships, you need to make sure that you ask, and ask whatever you want to ask. You shouldn't be in relationships where you are scared to ask, or you are scared to make a comment, or you are scared to say something. If you are scared of saying something or asking something, you should not be in a relationship with that person. But ask instead of making assumptions, instead of being angry, and now you guys are angry with each other, whereas it was a total misunderstanding. So assumptions are a very dangerous thing in relationships. So always ask and clarify your thoughts, clarify your feelings, clarify your emotions, clarify whatever the situation is, so that you guys are both on the same page, or as a family or as a collective, you are on the same page. The next thing is be careful and not crushing. You know, many a times, because we are so comfortable with people in our lives, is that sometimes we don't realize that our approach to people is very harsh. It doesn't consider other people's feelings when you approach them with something. So sometimes you end up crushing someone by making a certain comment, by asking certain questions, because as much as we are in relationships with people, we do not know everything, the demons that people fight behind closed doors. We do not know what battles people are fighting that they do not discuss with us. So sometimes as we grow, and you may have known someone for years and years, and people grow and we all evolve. Sometimes you may have lost a lot of weight, or you may have gained a lot of weight, or you may be in your 30s or in your 40s and you still are not married, or you don't have kids, and people ask stupid questions like, when are you getting married? Why are you not married? Why don't you have kids? When are you having kids? Oh my gosh, why did you lose so much weight? Oh my gosh, why did you gain so much weight? Oh, you are so fat these days. Like, sometimes we forget to be kind. We forget that as much as you are not coming from a harsh place by asking those questions or making those comments, you don't know the demons or the battles that people fight behind closed doors that they may have not disclosed with you, and you are asking those things, and now you are triggering people into a state where they do not want to be. You are triggering them with things that are very hurtful to them. So sometimes you need to be very cognizant and be very mindful of the comments or the questions that you ask people, and even the way that you do so. If someone does not disclose something to you, it means it's not your business to know, and you need to be okay with that. Up until when someone is comfortable enough to disclose something with you, you need to step back and be fine with not knowing everything about that person's life or business. Unless the person is really going through a tough time and you go to them and you ask them and you say, I see there's a lot of changes that has happened in your life. Is there anything that I can assist you with? Your approach to people will always determine the type of response you are going to get. And it is also going to determine how the other person feels about you. The next thing we're going to talk about is being supportive. Many a times when people are going through a big transition in their life, or they want to start something new, they want to start a business, or they want to start studying again, but they're a bit older, or they want to start a family, or whatever the case may be. Many a times people closest to them are not as supportive as they need to be. Hence, some people decide, you know what, you were never supportive to me, hence I'm not going to be supportive to you, or I don't even want you in my life. So always remember, if your friend is starting a new business, or a family member, if they are wanting to start a family, or whatever the case may be, if they want to go to school, make sure that you support them wholeheartedly. It is difficult in life when you go through life and you're starting something new, and it is scary. You have fear, you have doubts, you have all these negative thoughts going on in your mind, and then in turn you find that your family and your friends is not even supporting you. Make sure that you support people, even if you buy something small, if they're starting a business, or even if you share their posts on social media. That things go a long way to someone making it in life and feeling loved, feeling valued, feeling supported. So make sure that you support someone in everything that they do in life, and make sure that the support is also reciprocated to you, because it's very difficult to always continuously support people but they don't actually support you back in turn. So always make sure that you support people in whatever endeavors that they are doing, so that they feel loved, valued, and cared for. And the last thing that I have is be curious and not critical. This is so important, that sometimes people start doing different things in their lives, and they start changing, because as we all grow, we all evolve. But sometimes people are so critical. When I say, you know what, I'm thinking about quitting my job and I'm going to start a bookstore, or I'm going to start a clothing line. And then people are like, since when are you a salesperson? Or people are just mean. And as much as they don't want to be mean, or they don't want to be critical of everything that you do, because some people are just standard critical, but those people need to go. They don't need to be in your life. Or you need to communicate with them and say, I don't like 1, 2, 3, 4. But you need to, as much as you are curious, always make sure that you come from a heart of kindness, and you come with gentleness when you approach people. Do not be critical in things that people do that may not make sense to you. And if you would have done it a certain way, it's fine that we all don't think and do things the same way. You need to realize that. So if you have suggestions or comments about the way someone is doing something, always be kind and be courteous to your delivery of it. Do not be critical and say, oh, I would have done it like this, that's why that is not working. No, don't be that. You're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Remember that. And people learn and grow in different ways. So always be kind and be courteous, and not be critical of the way people are doing things just because it doesn't make sense to you. That will save you a lot of trouble and arguments, and also relationships that are lost. So those are the 5 tips that I have on how to cultivate mindful relationships. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.